So I actually took the car to a car show last week and it got really hot. I drove about 30 minutes and getting off the exit, the car completely shut off on me. So right now I'm troubleshooting what it could be. There's an aftermarket oil cooler on there. You can probably see if I do this. Oh, it might be a little dark, but so yeah, you can't see, but there's an aftermarket oil cooler back there. I'm in the process of pulling it off and cleaning it up because there's a bunch of junk all over it. I'm trying to troubleshoot this. It's not supposed to be running that hot. And I also have a sender that might be the wrong sender to the temperature gauge. So another project with it. You know, I thought I was gonna be the interior and be done, but hey, now we got some little bit of mechanical to do. No big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and mess around, hopefully get it running cooler. This is me attempting to pull the motor. I'm trying to run it a little bit. It's probably been on for about 15 minutes. I want to run it until it gets hot. I want to measure the temperature of the cylinder, so I want to see how hot it is because the temperature reading inside is probably incorrect. Sounds fine right now. It gets really hot when it's running at higher speeds for higher periods of time. So I took it for a few spins around the block. So as you can see, it started on the right side and made its way over to the left. So it started on super hot, moved over to cool, and it's definitely running hot. Maybe from the valve cover. I'm gonna go ahead and check the temperature. Yeah, that's hot. The driver's side is getting super hot. As you can see, there's constant oil drippage right there coming from, it looks like the valve cover onto the exhaust. So I got the car pulled in, got it in a spot where when I pull out the motor, I'll be able to back it out, have some room on the driver's side as well if I need to take out the tires. I'm gonna go ahead and take a jack, put it underneath the transmission, and jack up the rear end, put the jack stands. Basically, I'm gonna use that 2x4 across the whole width of the car, put the jack stands on both ends on the floor pan seam, not the floor pan, but the seam. Tons of people did it this way, and it seems to be the best way it works. Let them sit on that and kind of situate the ATV jack over there underneath the motor, apply some pressure, and then kind of start disconnecting stuff from that. So let's get to it. So I went ahead and disconnected the battery, took off the wheel hub caps, and then loosened the tires a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and jack up the rear end. So current setup, we got 6-ton jack stands on the torsion tube bars, and then we have a 2x4 on the floor pan seam that is also supporting it for extra support. So better safe than sorry. I'm gonna stay with this. I have another smaller, I think 2-ton jack that I will use to maybe support the transmission, but a lot of stuff you really don't have to do with the transmission if you're pulling the motor only. I'm gonna be draining the oil right now. Go ahead and loosen this up, drain this bucket. I don't know the last time this car had an oil change, so when I'm gonna drain it, I don't really care about this oil. I'm gonna have to do a full oil change after anyway, so it's just gonna be nice not to spill it anywhere when I drop the motor. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain that. So I went ahead and removed this valve cover, and it's definitely looking a little crusty back there. So there's like this blue gasket material all around it. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that looks pretty terrible back there? Definitely have to adjust these valves and make sure everything is up to spec when it goes back together. So here's the passenger side, and as you can see, it looks a lot more acceptable. Looks like pretty clean, not that much oil. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it back on and continue this pull. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fuel pump. Not the greatest spot for all these wrenches, but it'll do. So I went ahead and got all those removed, those as well. Everything's labeled here. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fuel hose right here so that it can be free. And I think that should be about it for the top. So I got all the bolts off of this rear engine pan tin. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off. It's just this whole back piece right here. It might come up through the engine bay actually. So we'll see how we're gonna have to finesse it out. I might have to pull it back and then up and out. So let me get that out right now. I don't know if there's an easier way, if I should even be taking this off, but oh well. I'm gonna go ahead and get underneath and pull out anything that is going to catch. I'm gonna disconnect the shifter coupling in the center of the transmission. Getting pretty close. Just gonna have to do some safety checks so we don't snag anything. So I got the shifter linkage disconnected down there, shifter coupling. I disconnected the throttle linkage as well. So behind the fan housing, you just pop it off and then slide that linkage all the way back. I loosened 3 of the 4 transmission bolts, so I have 1 more to go, and then I'm gonna start lowering. I just lowered the jack stands probably 3 or 4 inches just so I can have the engine closer to the ground so that this motorcycle jack can reach it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it underneath it. So I went ahead and got both of the main engine bolts off. So there they go. This is completely getting held right there. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen the transmission bolts. So I still need to get 1 more behind the starter. So I'm gonna go ahead and lower it a tiny bit. That was cool. So I got that last transmission bolt off to help with my father-in-law. That thing kind of sucked because just in a weird angle. There's a hex socket and then there's a bolt on the other end. Transmission should already be separated. A little wiggle jiggle, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and try to lower it a little bit. Oops. Careful now. Woo! She's coming. Officially made some separation. Let's go. We gotta be careful now. I'm gonna get the jack underneath the train. Officially separated the motor from the transmission. I'm going to have to do something with this since this is in the way. Now jack up the car and just pull it straight out that way. So that was fun. Kind of leaning one way. I'm not in love with that, but it should be okay. Let's go. Probably the easiest motor to pull out, but I'm a rookie. So yeah, this is where that last stud was. Actually, I'm tripping, it's right here. So it was going through the starter out here, down here. So it was like super difficult to get through right there. So here goes that trash oil cooler that blocks this airflow and completely anything else I was trying to do. Was not, yeah, see. 1, 2, and 2 more on the other side. Definitely recommend taking these off to have more access for those bolts. It is what it is. Motorcycle jack is clutch. Pretty happy that I got this thing out. I'm pretty stoked. I'm gonna go ahead and probably just turn this thing around so I can work on the back side. Configure it a little later.
Ой-ой-ой, ну ти Маріан, даєш. Ужас. Та ти ось за ті радіатор, що забитий все, так? То того, що масло має охолоджувати.
Ага, бачите, забитий. Щось може теж там, коли я буду розбирати, побачу. Може щось ще погано побачу. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just take off those 2 bolts on this side, as well as the 2 bolts on this side. So the one down there, one up there. So there's the Driver's side, that looks pretty gucky right there. Passenger side, not so much. Let's get to it and see what we can find. I don't know how someone was able to screw this on. So I got this one old hose right here disconnected, and then this one I got loosened. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take off those two 10 millimeters and get this entire thing off. Oil cooler's off. There's the back of the fan housing. You can definitely see this is the discoloration of like all the stuff that was flowing through it. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this. Oh man, I didn't notice I was spilling oil everywhere, but yeah, that's why the cardboard's here. So that's going to be a wrap for this video. As you can see, we got the motor pulled. That oil cooler was right up against that fan inlet. It's not looking good. I don't think I'm going to be reusing that oil cooler. I'm going to go back to the OEM system and we're going to dive deep into it more in the next video. We're going to see what's underneath that fan housing, how everything looks, the aftermarket oil cooler setup, and then go from there, figure out what we want to do, how we want to fix it, and then go ahead and put the motor back in. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Appreciate you if you got this far. Be sure to leave a comment, leave a like, and stay tuned for the next one. And as always, guys, be blessed and be superish.